Oh. Oh no. Dwayne Johnson, what happened to you? What happened to you? Heat cat fights. Did they mention when this movie came out? 2006. This looks about as good as video games that came out 2006. Hey everyone, my name is Steve from CG Geek, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video for the channel. Instead of creating something, we're going to be reacting to the top 10 worst CGI visual effects in Hollywood movies. This is a list put together by WatchMojo. There'll be a link to it in the description below, and it should be a lot of fun. So let's not waste any time and get right into it. Oh, starting off with The Matrix. Not the original, though. I haven't actually seen anything but the first Matrix movie, just because I heard that they weren't as good, and I didn't want to ruin the first Matrix by watching the other ones.
Agent Smiths in a CGI extravaganza.
That was pretty good. That part was good. I like that part.
Relatively strong start. The quality dips as the fight drags on.
I mean, that's cool, but that looks like...
Lost interest in realism or simply ran out of time.
Okay, I've seen video game cinematics that looked better than that. I feel like they were just trying to push the envelope even further because they had to do something crazier than they did in the first ones, and I like the first one. Why push it? On to number 9. Ooh, I Am Legend, Will Smith.
Unfortunately, the bald, vampire-like creatures with gaping mouths aren't very convincing.
Okay, let's talk about these zombies a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so 2007-ish when this movie came out, and honestly, that was around a time period, I think, where they used visual effects a little bit too freely in their films. Like WatchMojo said, they could have used some practical effects in here. There's really no reason why it had to be CGI all the time. Honestly, I thought some of these shots looked similar to like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. If you watch this scene here, that looks like Gollum. Quite a bit like Gollum, actually. So like, and honestly, Lord of the Rings came out, what, like 5 years before this, so this could have been a real person. Well, I don't see why they had to do so much visual effects in a scene like this. And I would agree with the statement that it was an overuse of CGI. Probably yes. Animating looks fine, but yeah, I would agree. It just doesn't look scary enough. It almost reminds me of Hobbit, the Five Armies, when they did all the orcs CGI in that as well, and that wasn't necessary. They did mostly real action orcs for the original Lord of the Rings series, and that looked good. In my opinion, that looked great. And they went and re-digitalized everything for The Hobbit, making all the orcs CGI for the most part, especially the leader orc. And you can tell. There's something you can tell about CGI. Sometimes it's hard, and as a visual effects artist myself, I can't point out exactly what it is, but you just know that you're not there yet. And granted, there'll be shots in the movie that look good, but when you just do it so much, you can't keep every shot looking good, especially back then. Okay, Deer Attack. I have not seen The Ring. Probably because it's a horror film, and I'm not real fond of that genre. Okay, that looks pretty bad. Yeah, that looked pretty bad. Really bad. What the? Honestly, this is supposed to be a horror film? This is kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, in this spot right here, can't you, like... They have a shadow, obviously, right there. But there's no like, contact shadows. And over in spots like here, I don't even see a shadow on that leg. Like, I mean, they have shadows on most of the deer here, but I don't even see a shadow right there. That looks, for the most part, some of these look good. Okay, like over here, that looks fine. But yeah, no shadow right there. Right here, you can see it's just a leg with no shadow. It just almost seems like it's good in part, but not everywhere. This is kind of weird. And they also don't have like ambient occlusion. If you don't know what ambient occlusion is, it's like the small contact shadows when things are like touching and you get like the crevice shadow. Not like actual shadow, but basically shadows caused by just objects being close to each other. It's a different type of shadow, you could say. It just seems like, not to mention the deer obviously looking very CGI smooth. You don't really see like realistic hair on them or anything. Nothing compared to what the new Lion King trailer looks like. So you can kind of see how far visual effects has come, but also I feel like this budget probably wasn't nearly as big as some of these other movies. I'm sure it was decent, but probably not nothing compared to The Lion King or something like that that's coming soon. Oh, okay. The Crystal Skull? That movie was just so bad in so many ways that they could just put most of the movie in here. I mean, not to hate on it. Granted, I liked parts of it, but yeah, there was a lot of CGI in that movie, and aliens too. Lots of that.
Crystal Skull. Every use of CGI.
I knew
is
they were going to
actually
show
more
the
of an
alien
offense than
scene.
usual in this.
Yep. Okay, to be honest though, let's give the visual effects artist some credit. The sand particles, falling off of that mole hole. I mean, those don't look too bad. That looks pretty cool. The gopher itself is, gopher itself is so-so, but the sand particles, those are pretty cool. Spider-Man Shallow Bluff, is that what we're seeing here? Okay, King Kong had an extreme use of CGI, and I really kind of was bummed out about how much they used the CGI because I thought the CGI on Kong, for the most part, was on point, really good, especially for a 2005 film. The Kong visual effects in this film, for the most part, were spectacular. But then they went ahead and they did like this dinosaur stampede, and you'll see why they overused CGI.
The longer the scene drags on, the more and more it becomes clear that the actors are just running in front of a green screen. Less believable still is the fact
some
that
of
Jack
this
Black
just there isn't even the detail on different aspects of the dinosaur here. Like look at this leg, and it looks mostly texture. You don't see any sort of like bump or like ripples or whatever. Like nowadays, if they were doing this as, for example, let's say the Godzilla movie or whatever, you'd have like so many layers of like bump and dirt and stuff all along here. This just looks relatively smooth. And you can see like there's a few ripples up here, but besides that, again, relatively smooth. Nothing but like a texture on some of these objects here. And that, I think, is what really makes this look bad. This could have been like just higher quality models, it almost looks like. And then like when they show the model up that close, they didn't make a higher quality model to handle that kind of detail. Like honestly, it's kind of a shame that they went just over the CGI and kind of basically ruined the quality of this movie. Kong, otherwise, I think is a really great film. And yeah, like you gotta think, this movie came out, what, 2005? This is 12 years after Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park obviously looked way better, but they also didn't try and go too over the top. And I feel like you can't really blame the companies because they go in over the top, and obviously they got a result that looks pretty cheesy now, but you can't really progress unless you fail. Now, maybe this shouldn't be put into a feature film. Maybe the progression should be kept kind of behind the scenes and not in front of people. But at the same time, they're not getting the funding to progress unless people are watching it. So I see why films like this happened, but it's just kind of a shame that it ruins otherwise a great film with its corny effects like this one. But yeah, it's all about pushing the envelope, and they pushed the envelope kind of off the edge. Okay, Surf's Up, Die Another Day.
We're going full reboot. A major
going
factor
James
in
Bond.
this was the attempt to take the action to ridiculous new extremes. Namely, Pierce Brosnan tries to outrun an outer space heat beam.
I love how
before
over the
surfing a
top
tidal
so
wave.
many James Bond films are. Okay. This is what makes this look bad. Not that you need me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Right there. It looks like he's just landing on the wave, and like the wave doesn't change. The water doesn't change when he hits it at all. Like you don't see any sort of ripple or whatever when he collides with the wave here. And that to me looks like the most fake. He looks superimposed over that. No sort of even contact with the wave. Like he doesn't look connected at all with the wave. Yeah, right here he just doesn't look like, it doesn't look like the water. Let me make a marker. It doesn't look like the water interacts with him at all around there when he hits it. He kind of comes down and hits it. You should see like a little bit of its own sort of like ripples in there. I didn't see anything. It just looked like the wave is one part, he's another part, and they're not connected at all in this scene. They probably took like some surfing on like a real ocean or something and then put it over a CGI wave, and it didn't go well. Nope, we can say that. Continue. Yep. There's another thing. Like the foam. Foam isn't interacting with them. Yep. Okay, I haven't seen this film.
This sci-fi action flick takes place in the year 2078, meaning that expectations for cool effects were high from the start. Unfortunately, it's packed with flat and lifeless effects that look several renderings away from being passable.
Holy cow. Holy cow. I haven't seen this, and I think I know why. Let's pause right here. This looks worse than video game quality. I mean, did they mention when this movie came out? 2006? This looks about as good as video games that came out 2006. Okay, this movie cannot have that high of a budget. I know they said at the beginning these films had big budgets. Let's see what Ultraviolet has as a budget, because I can't imagine a movie from 2006 having effects like that unless it's got a 4.4 on IMDb. Unless the budget was pretty small. Budget 30 million. Okay, that was a little higher than I expected it to be. Yeah, they could have done a little better with 30 million, I would have thought, in 2006. Okay, that movie's just bad. See, I don't even know where to put input on something like this. Like, I don't even know what to say when it is so bad on so many ways. You can't really correct this with one or two things. You basically gotta start over. Honestly, this could be like storyboard quality. Like they're just playing it out in a real-time engine or something.
Fit for a second-tier video game.
Holy cow! Okay. That helicopter model looks straight out of a video game. Honestly, look at this. Where's the detail? It feels like with this movie, they just crushed the blacks and lights so much to try and hide the crummy visual effects by making it so contrasty that you can't really see details, but like, there's no details. It's laughably bad. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Okay, it was kind of funny though. I'll give you that. It was kind of funny. I laughed a little bit. Number 3. Along Came a Spider. Okay, another film I haven't seen. I'm actually surprised how many of these films I haven't seen. Okay, honestly, parts of that look good. Honestly, parts of it didn't look good. Obviously. Let's play that back once in slow motion and just kind of take a look at what might be looking bad at this. Whoa. Ooh, okay, that, not, little over the top. Okay, that car is flipping a few too many times now. Look at this. It comes and it hits there, it flips, and then it hits again, and it like flips even faster. Yeah, too much flipping, too much. I would say this was a scene that like the animating was probably the worst offender to making it look good. It's pretty much the animation of the vehicle, the way it doesn't flip the way physics should work. It's not how it works. And yeah, why not just use an actual car for this? Fast and Furious would. On to the next one. Let's do it. Catwoman. Okay. Okay, honestly, I haven't watched this film just because I know it's awful.
Trying over story and dialogue. Unsurprisingly, they took the easy path and animated her almost entirely with the computer. Instead of animating in detail, their unconvincing effects relied on removing all real-life texture from the actress herself by covering her in makeup. That, coupled with uncanny movements, made the lackluster cityscape animation look good in comparison.
Game over. Guess what? It's overtime.
Ooh, corny lines to go with corny visual effects. Nice. I hate cat fights. Cat fights? Woman versus woman in literally a cat fight? Get it, Catwoman? First of all, the animating was really bad. Let me just play this back here. Okay, some of these shots actually didn't look too bad. I'm going to be honest. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Some of the visual effects, okay. But look at how, like, that run animation, that looks like a video game cycled animation. Just, like, almost repeated, not natural at all. So yeah, the animation, again, is what lowered the quality there. Obviously, the character model quality doesn't look the greatest either. Animating is where we've come a long way, and I think a lot of that is due to motion capture. These were just obviously not motion captured, because you can just tell it looks like repeated cycled animations. So motion capture in more modern day films, starting around the time of like Lord of the Rings and stuff, is really when the animating got a lot better. Continue to the last one. Drum roll, please. Okay, number 1, hit me with it. Oh no. Dwayne Johnson, what happened to you? What happened to you? Alright, I'm just going to pause this right here. Before we go any further, let's just talk about this a little bit. The Mummy came out. It was a big success. They did some visual effects in it, but they didn't I mean, okay, there was some bad visual effects actually in The Mummy, but nothing. No, 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 nope. I don't want to just be hating on visual effects from back in the day because, like I said, we've come a long way, and this is how we've come a long way by seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. But what I want to say about this is it looks like it could be real time, actually worse than real time. But it barely doesn't resemble The Rock. I'll be honest, the first few times I saw this, I didn't even know it was supposed to be Dwayne Johnson until, like, actually a ridiculously long time went by, and then I realized that, whoa, actually that shot... I never watched The Scorpion King, okay? So, cut me a little slack. I would have obviously known it was Dwayne Johnson if I watched the movie. Jeez, don't be so judgy. But yeah, I actually never realized that it was, just from the few shots I've seen, still frames here and there. I never watched the movie because I watched the first Mummy, and that's all I felt like I needed to watch. Yeah, I never actually knew it was trying to be Dwayne Johnson. So first of all, the character model didn't really match the actor in this case. I can't believe this actually went by and passed. Like, yeah, like the director came in and was like, yeah, that looks okay. Let's put it in the film. Like, this had to be one of those things where, like, the director walks in, he's like, hey, you got that shot for me? And the guy's like, well, we have this. And the director's like, don't shoot. When are we supposed to come out with this movie again? 2 weeks? Oh boy. Like one of those things where it's like, we can do this, right? And then like, no, actually, we shouldn't have done that. Again, I'm not going to hate on them. It's just basically where the technology was at the time. But if you play this back, you can see a huge aspect of it, again, is the animation. Besides the model, the animation is something where, like, if you had motion capture back then, this would have at least been animated a little bit better. And obviously motion capture isn't great in itself, but it gives the animators something to work with that gives you a much more natural movement in the grand scheme of things. Whereas this... Okay, his expressions, those were funny. Awful, but funny. Just like the character movements, like robotic. Again, motion capture would have helped, but...
To not merge The Rock's real face with the effect, and instead made him a fully animated creature.
I'd agree with that. They could have at least done some CGI body doubles, where they take the motion capture of the face. This was what, like 2001. All right, that was a while ago. Granted, that was also like 8-9 years after Jurassic Park. Again, they tried to pull off way more than they could chew. They thought that they could do a CGI realistic face of the Dwayne Johnson, and they should have done a combination of the two, at the very least, to improve the quality a bit. And, like, the face is obviously what your eyes are attracted to. When it looks so computer generated and expressionless, the body itself, like, would have looked CGI, but you almost wouldn't notice how CGI it looked like if you had an actual face on the character here. But because the character looks so bad, you notice all the faults in the whole scene, the animating and everything else. I would have been interested to see what they could have done, taking some live footage of The Rock's face and putting it on at least any of the shots that are closer to the camera. Yeah, you don't stick a face that close into the lens and do it completely CGI, especially back in 2001. Honestly, even Rogue One, it looked good in times when they did their Grand Moff Tarkin in visual effects form, but there were still times when I feel like they could have just kept him a little bit further from the camera, and you would have not been able to nitpick as much at the visual effects looking a little bit unhuman. Something about it at times still looked a little unhuman to me. Certain scenes looked perfectly real, but certain aspects didn't quite, give me the feeling that it was an actual person. So that's kind of how I feel. Even today we can't pull this off, and they were trying to do this, 18 years ago? Yeah, that's what we that's what we got. All right, what was the budget? IMDb actually says it's 2002. You're wrong, WatchMojo. IMDb is never wrong. Budget, $60 million. $60 million. And hey, wow, it actually grossed $165 million. That was impressive for that. The budget of Jurassic Park was only $63 million. So budget-wise, only $3 million apart. The best visual effects are obviously hidden, that you didn't see right in front of your face. And that's why I'm always, even in modern times right now, I'm always for practical effects and then using visual effects where you won't even notice them, because it just kind of looks bad on the visual effects artist if you force them to do things that just aren't going to look very good, and then they become the laughing stock of YouTube. So basically, yes, a perfect case of using visual effects where doesn't matter what the budget was, the technology wasn't there yet. Yeah, okay. So guys, that is the top 10 visual effects list by WatchMojo. Honestly, it was funnier than I thought it would be. So that's kind of my thoughts, guys, on some of these shots in the top 10 worst visual effects list put together by WatchMojo. Again, there'll be a link in the description if you guys want to check out the video yourself. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you agree with WatchMojo's list or not. Some pretty laughable moments, but other moments actually didn't look too bad, especially considering that they were done 15, 20 years ago. But that's going to be it, guys, for the rest of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't really care for the video, well, you can leave that thumbs down or share your thoughts in the comments. Either way, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button to become geekified, and I will see you in a future video. Bye-bye.